and Power BI consultant. You can connect with me across social media by just typing my name. So previously in our last class, we talked about, it was more of a case study. We needed to create a dashboard for the Niger phone sales manager to be able to make business decisions. Like Bankole mentioned earlier, I suppose that he has shared the link to the class to people that were not here in the last class. So today we are going to be looking at report design principles. So before you start creating reports, especially for beginner Power BI developers, there are principles that you need to abide by in order to be able to create a report that is usable and that will be good for your stakeholders. Before we start actually, I am going to talk about choosing the right visual, because from the last class, someone asked at what point do you use a particular visual. So I'm going to first of all start by like explaining the visuals and when to use them actually basically. So there are different visuals that we have in Power BI. The first one is the bar and column chart. The bar and column charts are charts that are used to compare values across different categories. You can see here from the, let me start up my pointer, sorry. You can see here that this is a bar chart and this is a column chart. They're both used for the same thing. It's just the orientation that differs. You can use a bar chart. It's advisable for you to use this when the category name is long. For instance, if you have a country here, Madagascar, for instance, we all know that Madagascar is a long name. You shouldn't use a column chart for that because your end user is going to find it difficult reading that. But if you use a bar chart, because human beings by default we read from left to right, your end user or your stakeholder can easily read Madagascar here. So that is one use case of a bar chart over a column chart. The next one is a stack bar chart. You use this to compare totals and composition. So the simple bar chart and column chart are just used to compare totals, but the stack bar chart, they are used to, and column chart, they are used to compare composition and total. In this particular case, we are looking at sales by region, then segment. Within here, you can see that Central is the highest. Then within Central, you have corporate as the highest. The next one is 100% stack bar chart and column chart. So for this particular one, you use this for proportional comparison. Everything here that we have sales by region and segment, everything is reported to 100%. Then within that 100%, what is the proportion of consumer? What is the proportion of corporate? What is the proportion of small business and home office, as the case may be? Then finally, we have the clustered bar and column chart. So for this particular one, you also use it to compare categories, both side-by-side categories within that. You can see the segments within this, place that side by side, 2010, 2011, and 2012. Then within corporate, you can see that 2012 had the highest sales. Let's move forward. So the next type of charts are the line chart and the area chart. For these two, actually, you use this to show trend over time. They are similar, but visually, the only difference between the area chart and the line chart is that the area chart has a colored section. This color section is more like to lay emphasis on volume. So when you're trying to create a report or tell a story that involves volume, for instance, the population of a particular region over time, you should use an area chart because of this colored part emphasizes volume. Then the next one is the stack area chart. Just like the stack bar and column chart, this particular one is used to show trends of different categories over time. You can see the different categories with the colors to tell you how each category performs over time. The next one also is the 100% stack area chart. This one also shows proportion over time. So this is more like, these two things are showing the same kind of categories, as you can see. But this particular one is telling you the story that we have grown over time. How did we grow over time? But this particular one is now telling us what contributed to that growth over time, what is the volume of that contribution over time. That is what the 100% stack area chart is telling us, what contributed to that growth. While this is telling us that we have grown with these different categories over time. The next one is the line and clustered column chart. So for this, you can use it to compare two related metrics. In this case, I'm using it to compare sales current month and previous month, where the column part of things is showing the current month and the line is showing the previous month. Then the next set of charts, actually, these ones are basically for proportion. So we have the pie and the donut chart. These two charts are actually controversial charts in the world of data visualization. Most people say that it's wrong for you, that most people see it as a chart that you shouldn't use at all. Basically because of the fact that most people misuse it. And when you misuse it, the end user becomes confused instead of becoming informed. So the rule of thumb with pie and donut chart most times is when you have categories more than 5, you shouldn't use a pie chart or a donut chart because it becomes difficult to read. You should use a bar chart or a column chart. As you can see from the visual, the difference between the pie chart and the donut chart is just the fact that the donut chart has an empty section in here. So I like using a donut chart because this empty section in here helps me to add an extra layer of information, especially if I'm minimizing space in my canvas. I can add the total here, a KPI card here to tell me the total sales. So this gives an extra layer of information. The next one is the tree map charts. Honestly, I don't use this chart at all, but it is used actually to show hierarchical part of a whole. In this case, I'm using it to show the product group as well as the subcategory, where you have the major categories as technology, furniture, and office supplies. Then within technology, you have these different subcategories. Within furniture, you have those different subcategories and office supply, right? But because of the fact that right now I'm not showing this on Power BI, but if you're using it on Power BI, you can easily hover here to get more information. But I actually avoid this chart. Instead of using this, I tend to even use more of the bar and column chart. The next one is the gauge chart. This particular chart shows performance against targets. It's just like your speedometer in your vehicle for your fuel and all. So here that it's telling us that this is the target for sales. And right now, this is where we're at 8.95 million. So we are yet to get to our 10 million mark. Actually, it helps you to measure that progress. The next one is the funny chart. This particular chart is a chart that I've seen most Power BI, new beginner Power BI developers misuse. Most people use this instead of a bar chart, which is wrong. So a funnel chart shows process and step. In this case, I'm using it to show sales pipeline, where you go from validated to identified, qualified, won and lost. It goes down like a funnel. This is not a bar chart. You can also use it to show your recruitment pipeline if you're in the HR side of things. The next one is the waterfall chart. The waterfall chart is a popular chart within the finance world. Here I'm using it to show the sales variance by fiscal month. The red part actually shows decrease, while the green part shows increase and all of that, for you to be able to follow the trend, the way your sales variance performed over a month. Then over here, we still have more. Here we have the table and the metrics. The table is just normal table, just to show raw data, while the matrix is just like your pivot table if you're coming from the Excel background. So this shows summarized style. Here we have the region as well as the year. You can easily trace within this. The next one is the card visual. Within Power BI, we have KPI card. We have card visuals that you can use to show a single metric. And while using a card visual, we also have the ability of adding image to tell more story. In this case, you can see the image of a bar chart going upward with an arrow. This tells people that this is actually sales kind of thing. Also, we have multi-row card. This is actually used to show multiple KPIs. If you have multiple KPIs and you're trying to conserve space, this is used to show that. Then we have the slicer. Of course, we're talking about Power BI, which is an interactive tool that a tool that creates an interactive dashboard. So part of the interactivity is that you can easily filter for everything to change. So we have different styles of slicer here that you can explore to use for that filtering. Then finally, we have some special types of visual. This particular one, the composition tree. This is used for root cause analysis. Within here, you can easily see which segments that is driving profit. This particular one is used to show correlation between two metrics. What happens when is profit and sales both decreasing, or is profit increasing when sales increase, and or you can actually use this chart for that. Then finally here we have the map visual. Of course, a map is used to show geographical data. Then the next part of this principle is what I label the audience archetype. This is where you need to understand the audience that you are creating a report for. So before you start your dashboard design, you need to find out from your stakeholders who is going to consume this report. Is it for the executive? Is it for the top level executive? Is it for the operations manager? Or is it for my fellow data analysts or data scientists? You need to understand your audience. When you understand your audience, you can be able to know how best to design for such audience, because each audience has their particular descriptions and ways they consume information. So let's look at the first type of audience. We have the technical audience. These are data analysts, data scientists, financial analysts, or people that even have technical background, especially people that did statistics in school, obviously. So these people can understand data, and they can understand different types of graph, technical graphs. For instance, if you are using scatter plot, box plot, and detailed tables, they can easily understand. And one particular feature of these people is the fact that they want to explore more. A financial analyst, once you give the person a dashboard, the person will want to like export to Excel and perform more analysis on his own. So these are people that we label as technical audience. The next set of audience that we have are the non-technical audience. These are people such as your managers, operations staff, and stakeholders. These people don't have deep analytical training. They need clear, simple insights. So if you're designing a dashboard for them, use the normal, simple chart types that people know, your bar charts, your pie charts, your line charts, and your KPI cards for them as well. Excuse me. So these are the kind of charts that you use for these people so that they can easily understand. You don't need to add a box plot chart for an operations staff, because most of them might be confused when they see it. They might not really be able to read a box plot chart. The next one is the executive. One feature of the executive is the fact that these people, they don't have time. So if you are designing a dashboard for them, always ensure that they can easily, once they look at this dashboard, they'll be like, oh, I can easily pick out what this dashboard is about within the next 5 minutes. Like 5 minutes is not much for some of them actually, but at least for 5 minutes, when they look at your dashboard, they can easily know what your dashboard is about. So it has to be high level. Don't give them detail. You use chart like the KPI cards, your summary table. Like summary table in this case, you are showing them the top 5 products, the top 3 products. You are not showing them all the products for them to actually look at. So summarize their table. Then line charts for trends as well. So let's look at some of the visuals dashboard for this audience. The first one is technical, for the technical audience. Of course, this is a technical dashboard. You already have a scatter plot, you have a correlation matrix, and you even have a script editor for Python or something. So this is definitely for technical audience, for them to actually explore and all. The next one is the non-technical dashboard. So for this particular one, you can see that this is actually good for an operations manager. They can easily see the inventory level, the health of inventory. They can see sales by region easily, and also some KPIs in there that they can easily use to monitor the operations. Next one is the executive dashboard. You can see that this is high level. You're showing them this is the change from the previous year, which is good for an executive to actually make sense of where their business stands. They can see the net profit margin. You even have like executive summary that can summarize what is going on in case the person don't have time to read all of to go through as well. So the next principle that we're going to be looking at now is the color psychology and fonts. For this particular principle, this is another principle that most beginner Power BI developers struggle with. I tend to see some dashboards. I'm like, what's going on here? Color is actually not for decoration. Whichever color that you're putting on your report, ensure that this color is going to drive the message. Is it part of the brand guideline? Or is this color going to tell me when things are going up or down? Don't just scatter color on your dashboard. You should always ensure that color on your dashboard is actually for insights and not decoration. Then another thing is that you need to use consistent font styles and sizes. If you are using Calibri 24 for your title across all pages, ensure that it's Calibri 24 consistently. Don't use Calibri and go and change to Times New Roman or Dean or Sergio. Ensure you use consistent font styles and sizes. This will help in making your dashboard look more coherent. Next thing actually is on the brand column. Most companies actually have their brand guidelines. So if you're working with a company and creating Power BI dashboard for them, you need to reach out to your design team within your company for them to give you the brand guideline. You can use your brand color codes to design the dashboard. But if you are working on your own as a freelancer or probably trying to create something for your portfolio and you don't really have a keen eye for color, there are tools that you can use. This particular tool known as Close Your CO is one of the tools that I use, my favorite actually, but there are other tools in the market anyway. But let's look at how this one works. So I have Close Your CO. All right, when you open up the website, this is the first page you are going to see. It's going to tell you to sign in, but you don't need to sign in. I've been using it without signing in. You can explore it without signing in. Then click on Explore 10 million plus palettes. This website has a lot of palettes. So here it's going to show you different color palettes, amazing color palettes, and you can see colors that go together. And or when you scroll down, you can search for a particular color that you want here. But right now, I'm not going to search. I want to explore the ones that it has already shown me. For instance, if I want to use this olive garden forest piece, for instance, I can click on this part and click on Open in Generator. So here we are in Open in Generator. You have the colors here. You can easily copy these codes and use that within your Power BI report where you have the hex code aspect that I showed earlier in the previous class. Then over here, you can also visualize the colors. Here, when I click on this part, it gives you what the color looks like in different things that you're doing. This is for design, but this is the part I'm interested in. You can see it on the dashboard. So it gives you what the color looks like and how you can use the color on the dashboard. So if you're someone that don't know how to use colors and mix colors together and all, this is a very good tool for you. Another feature of this website is that you can easily get colors from pictures. Assuming within this particular, this is where I was, assuming you saw a dashboard online, like this particular one, and you want to use the color that the person used, you can get that using that particular website. So let's go back to that. I will put the dashboard in here and drag that. Okay, let me click on browse and drop, because for some reason my drop is not working. So let me just browse this image. Okay, so I have the screenshot here. Mm, okay, let me just use this one for instance, actually, because that other one, I don't know why the picture is not showing up. But assuming you have a dashboard that you saw online and you want to extract the color, now you can see that it has automatically extracted the color for me. You can hover on any particular part of the image to get that particular color. And once you are done, you can easily export this. Click on export to export the color. You can export in different formats. If you want to export in CSS, for instance, you can also see the hex code of the different colors that we are using that dashboard. This is a very good tool. And also you can test for color blindness, because color blindness is another issue when you're selecting color. So you can test a color for color blindness to also ensure that it complies with the that particular principle. Let's go back and continue. The next principle is that you should use clear labels and legend. So whenever you are trying to label your chart, Power BI by default, when you're dragging and dropping KPIs into a chart, it automatically creates a title for you. But it's now your responsibility as the developer to be sure that the title of each chart actually explains what that chart is about. In this particular case here, you can see that Power BI generated this for me because I dragged all these metrics into this particular chart. Average math, average reading, average writing, and race and ethnicity, which is a handful. But it is now left for me to edit this particular title to make it more descriptive. You can see over here is performance by race and ethnicity, which is quite simple compared to what we originally have here. Then the next thing is that you should keep legends close to chart and well positioned. Also within this particular chart as well, you can see that because of the placement of legend here, it's as if the chart itself is shrunk. But over here, because I placed the legend at the top, the chart can be able to breathe. These are things that you need to consider when you are creating your chart. Don't just create chart and push it there on your dashboard. Ensure that the chart is well, the title is okay, as well as the legend is well positioned. The next part is that less is more. Avoid visual noise as much as possible. Try to clear all clutter. In this particular case, there's some the grid line, especially things that are not contributing to the actual message. One thing you need to note is that Power BI is an interactive dashboard. It is not like PowerPoint that is static. The visuals are interactive in the sense that whenever you hover on any particular point, you can see what that point is about. It is not static like PowerPoint that people will need to know what all the data labels are. So it's now left for you as the developer to educate your end user that this is not like PowerPoint that is static. If you want to know what a particular point is, you need to hover. So all these data labels are not necessary. You need to remove them. This is visual noise. And also, when you look at the data label for the X and Y axis, you can see that the title already says total employees by year. So having total employees as the data and title label for the Y and X axis is no longer necessary. These two things are redundant. So you need to remove them as well. So when you remove that, you can see where it is looking. So when you're using it on Power BI, this is the way a user can actually use this. You can also just turn on the data markers so that it will guide the users better. So let's move forward. The next part is to use conditional data. conditional formatting when without any conditional formatting, plain. For someone to read what is going on, the person will need to actually trace one line after the other. But me looking at this, because I turned on conditional formatting within this, the person can easily look at this and like, oh, the green actually means we want something, and the pay part actually means, excuse me, that these ones are still open. So how many did we win? The person can easily count 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 4 throughout. And also the data bars actually tells you the extent of the amount of the opportunity value. So this gives you more information. So as much as possible, always use conditional formatting to help your end users to be able to make sense of your reports. Because if they're not able to make sense of your report, you find out that they will just dump your report and continue with their Excel. Most companies are finding it difficult to adopt Power BI, not because Power BI is not going to help them, but because of the fact that the developers within their company are not giving the Excel users the reason they need to move to Power BI. If your Power BI report is just an Excel dump, the developers, the users, the stakeholders be like, Excel is already doing this for me. What is Power BI doing differently? But when you show them by creating charts that speaks to them, that helps them with their work, they will see a need to move and adopt Power BI. The next one is the using colors to flag thresholds. In this particular case, you can see that the green aspect is telling us that there was an increase month on month, and the red is also saying that there was a decrease. So also, not just using colors, we are using colors as well as shape. This is an upside triangle and this is a downward triangle, which tells us more information that will help the end user to be able to understand this better. So the next part is visual hierarchy techniques. So now that you've created all your charts, placing that chart, you need to place the chart strategically within the dashboard to help the user understand the story that you're trying to tell. That is what the visual hierarchy technique is talking about. As humans, by default, we actually read from left to right. So when someone opens up your dashboard, the person starts looking from left down to right. So it's now left for you as a developer. If you know the most important chart within your dashboard, you need to place that on the left topmost side. You shouldn't place that on the left downward part, because they look first at the left topmost side before they now go down in like a Z position as well. So you need to place strategic things at the top. And in this case, you can see here that not just placing the total revenue in this case, it was also highlighted. So the color will help the person to actually get the person's attention. Oh, this is our total revenue. Then the person can now read total trend by month and all. Then if there's any other drill down that you want the person to go to another page, you can put that downward here. Also, you need to group related visuals to help guide the end user. You can see in the case of this particular dashboard down here that all the KPIs are at the top. You are not seeing any KPI here, here, and here. Arrange things the way end users as humans, so that it will be organized anyway. And over here, you can see that all the donor charts are placed in one. So the person can actually look and be like, oh, these are my demographic, okay? Then you can see also the arrangement of the bar chart. So group related visuals to help the end user to be able to understand the message that you're trying to pass across. The next part is white space and alignment. I see most beginner data analysts, okay, they'll just place visuals like without taking note of the alignment of visuals. They'll just place anyhow. You need to take note of alignment. This is very important. You don't need to clutter and pack everything. Give your visuals equal breathing space, not large, small, large, small. You try to like give them equal breathing space. As you can see here, you can see that all the KPI cards here are jammed together, which is not cool. But over here, you can see that there is an equal distribution of space between visuals to give that breathing space. Also, you don't need to have plenty visuals on a particular page. That is why in Power BI, you have the ability to create new page. You can always have your first page as the overview, then add a drill through or bookmark button to like take someone to the next page, next page, next page. So you don't need to clam everything on one particular um, page report. The first one can be overview, then details can continue for in other pages. You don't need to even have. You should have not more than 8 visuals on a page. But when it is more than 8 visuals, it becomes a lot. So try as much as possible not to have up to even 8. 8 is even a lot for me as a person. So it's between 5 and 6 on your first page. Just try to like make things arranged so that people will not be overwhelmed when they look at your report. That is all. Thank you. Time for questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Chiamaka. We're really grateful for this insights being given. So, my wonderful people, so do you have any questions? Or do you want that to practicalize any one there so that we can have any idea? Anybody, any questions? Don't be shy to ask questions. Like I keep saying, there's nothing like a stupid questions. Now it's time to see to meet a top industry person. So please ask questions. Okay, yes. Oluwani Shola has raised her hand. Go ahead, Oluwani Shola.
Okay. Good evening, ma. Good evening, sir. Thank you so much for the class. I really appreciate your time. All right. So she mentioned something like bookmark page or something relating to that that will actually lead you to the next page.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
please,
did.
please, ma. How does that work? Or is there a way I can like? Is there a way you can actually test run it, ma?
Okay, so let me actually pull up our previous page report.
Thank you, ma.
Okay, this is our report. Okay, it's trying to load actually.
Power BI is saying no, I don't want to come up yet.
Because I'd not even opened it beforehand actually.
Uh,
Wow.
no, no, I don't want to come up yet. Not yet.
Okay.
I'm still sleeping.
Okay. We are still coming. Protection. It's actually on this screen, but I doesn't want to come over to this particular screen until it finishes slowly. Interesting.
So we have to wait.
Hmm?
So we have to wait. No issues.
Yeah. Well, interestingly, could it be the Google Meet? Because whenever I use Zoom with it, it works well.
Well,
I don't know what is zapping this. Oh, I have Docker, a
mm,
container open.
Exactly.
Yeah, I have
We're
Docker
beginning to
open.
see it.
As a service processing a whole lot of things at once. Okay. Okay. They just want me to open only it and nothing else. The last time was VS Code.
Abi.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There. I just want to come to the screen. Hang on, please. Okay, we are here now. Now uploading to Drive. Okay, back to the PBX file that we used the last time. So in order to create let me expand this. In order to create a bookmark, basically what a bookmark does is that it syncs time with what you've added. So in this case, I want to have a button where I apply this filter on February, and I want to have a button here that clears all filter. So you can use a bookmark to do that. What the clear all filter means is that it will return everything to default value without any filter here being added. This is handy, especially when you have multiple sliders, so that users will not be selecting all one after the other to clear. So you can have just one button here. In order to effect that, I can use a bookmark. To use a bookmark, I have a bookmark icon here, and you can get it here as well when you click on view and bookmark. So I'll click on this to open up the page. This is my default view without the filters. Then I'll click on add bookmark. Then I'm going to rename it. So this is storing my snapshots of when there is no filter. I'll rename this as clear filter, right? Then the next thing I'm going to do in order to ensure that the bookmark works is to add a button here. So I'm going to click on insert, then button. I want to just take this reset button. I just want to add it, drag it to this part here. Then let me add action to the reset. So over here, you need to add an action. I'll turn on the action aspect of it and the format thing. Scroll down. What do I want this button to do? I want it to reference a bookmark. Which bookmark is that? Clear filter. That's the one I've created. Then that is all for now. You can actually play with the button style and all of that formatting thing here. But right now, I don't want to do that. I just want to show the bookmark aspect of things. So right now, when I click on February, for instance, everything has filtered for February, and probably products, which products, car holder or something. Let me just click on car holder. I can actually click on, right now that I'm on Power BI desktop, it's telling me to control plus click. But if you publish this report on Power BI service, you don't need to hold down the control key. You can just click on it and it goes. So right now, I'll hold down the control key, control, then click on this. You can see everything returns to default. It has cleared all the filter. So this is the way it works. Is that fine by
Okay, ma.
you?
Yes, ma. Thank you very much, ma.
So that is one use case of a bookmark. There are so many use cases of bookmark. You can use it to hide visuals. You can use it to, for instance, if I have this line chart and I want to have like a bar chart that people can switch from, like you can switch from one visual to the other, you can use a bookmark for that as well. So that's the case.
Okay, ma. Thank you very much, ma.
You're welcome. Any other question?
Okay, thank you. There's a question in the chat that says, Ma, what are the most common mistakes beginners like me make in data visualization, and how can we avoid them?
Okay. If the person was actually following this, I was actually pointing out the mistakes as I was
Yes,
teaching.
yeah.
Yeah, the first one basically is even the um, use case of pie charts. Most times they use pie chart to show more than five categories. Another one too that I've seen consistently is using funnel chart as bar chart. I've seen that in more than three reports. They have two different use cases. And another also is actually basically all the principles that I talked about. Just beginners just learn how to drag and drop. They don't know what the principles behind this. If you're creating a report for an executive, for instance, an executive doesn't want to see all your raw data and all of that. So it has to be high level. So when you apply all these principles, you are no longer working like a beginner. You are working like someone that actually knows her on this. That is that.
Okay, Oluchi, our hand is raised. Oluchi, you can go ahead with your question.
Yeah, good evening, Chiamaka. Good evening, Sabankole and everyone.
Yeah, good
Although I
evening.
joined late and I'm paying, but I have a question, and
You have
Chiamaka.
the recording, you can always watch the record.
Yeah, but physical class, I'll ask my question as they're teaching, but no problem. Okay, consider this bookmark. Like, assuming you have like 3 pages and you want to navigate through the three
Okay.
pages, can you read
Uh,
how?
that particular one, we have another feature for that. It's known as page navigator. So right now, if I have 3 pages, these are 3 pages, for instance. You can still see my screen, right?
Yes,
Yes,
ma.
your screen is visible.
So in order to have, I will have a button here, insert button, click on buttons. We have navigator button, page navigator. You can see that automatically it has shown the 3 pages. It's now left for me to actually format the button style whichever way I want. Then I can click on, when I click on the next one, it automatically takes me to page 2. I'll hold down the control key because I am on desktop and click on this. It has taken me to page 2. So you just need to place this button on the 3 pages. So let me just copy this button and place on the 3 pages. This is page 2 now. Then page 3, and you can see that it's highlighting the particular page by default. So now if I want to go to page 2, I'm on desktop, hold down control key and click on this. I'm in page 2, you can see. If I want to go to page 1, hold down control key and click page 1. So this is the way you navigate from one to the other. You can always change the size of the button and all of that. Like this particular style that I like, the shape of button actually. You can use pear shape. I like this pear shape. Like it's so nice. So depending on what you want to do, you can play with the format pane and all of that. Any other question?
All right, thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay, so do we have another question? Okay, ma'am. So to better ease people, because I know some a lot of concepts were discussed this evening. Can you just help us with, you discussed about colors earlier, colors. Can we use
Yeah.
a color template or a format from colors and apply to one of these, maybe a dashboard or something here, like in none of these, so that we can have a feel of actually how the colors work and how we can bring them from that side to this side? Are you with me,
Okay.
ma'am? Yes.
So for the sake of this class, actually, over here,
Yes.
for instance, this particular one, if I want to use this color, for instance, I can copy the hex code for this. If I want this to be my base color instead of the blue that I used in that other part, I can copy the hex code, then go over to my reports in this case. Instead of this blue, go over to this part, the column colors, change that to this, more colors, and paste. Just for the sake of this class, I can just change all of this. You can do that singly. Then where I have this is where I now add the 5 colors that were shown over here so as to differentiate. But there's another way that you can do this actually, but for the sake of this class, I'm just doing it singly so that you can see where the colors going.
Okay.
This is
Mm.
this is so this part I'd rather use this for this part
Yeah.
than use a little effort. This should be no payment. No payment should just be that other one. Then I can add this particular one. So digital, no, not digital. This is cash, I think. All right. So this is one way of adapting the color. Another way, we have the theme aspect of things that should be in. You have your color theme. When you click on this part, scroll down, you can customize your color theme. So whichever color that you've gotten over there, you can replace that here by just putting the hex codes of the colors that you've gotten from colors.com. That will also help you to customize your theme.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay. Any other question? Let me see. Do we have any other question for our facilitator? Okay. So in absence of no question, we would be calling it a day. And but before we leave, everybody in the class, we already have an assignment to actually visualize the phone shop sales. So we should all visualize that over the weekend, and then we'll look at it together next week. I'll just do a review of all our visuals. Probably next Tuesday or next Thursday, we'll discuss that on the WhatsApp group. Um, but before we close, I would like to use this opportunity and medium to say a very big thank you to um, Madam Chiamaka Igwe. She's a Microsoft certified tutor as well, and she's really doing a great job, especially for we beginners in data visualization and data analysis, and in as data professionals at large. We are really grateful for all you've been doing. It's not quite easy to actually sit in front of camera and say welcome to my channel. I tried it one time on my WhatsApp status. And I just say, okay, I think this one is not for me. We cannot teach in different things, but sincerely, she's really doing a very great job, and this is a very good thumbs up to you. Please, if you've not followed her on all social media platform, you are doing a very great disservice to yourself. Follow her on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, most especially. She does all this jara on top. For example, that bookmark, that things. She has videos on it on TikTok. Just go there. TikTok is easy to just pick one single topic and small thing and quickly talk about it. She has quite a lot of that on TikTok. So please make sure you go to TikTok to actually follow her as well, watch her videos and everything. I really, really appreciate. Um, this is a training program. So at the end of this program, as an MCT, she'll be sending us some things for us to work with and some document to work with, some forms to fill. So let's prepare our minds that we'll be having that. I'll be sending all that across to everybody so that we should be prepared for that. Thank you very much, everyone. I don't know if everybody, I think everybody should just open your mic and say thank you very much to Madam Chiamaka, the way we usually do it. Nobody wants to take it.
Thank you, Madam
Thank you,
Chiamaka.
Madam Chiamaka.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much, ma'am.
ma'am.
Really
Thank you.
appreciate the great work you're doing.
Aha. Good. You can see her teeth is out, so that means she's happy too. So me too, I'm happy as well. So thank you very much, Chiamaka Igwe, for having us. I hope subsequently we can still call you and you always want to give your best for us. So thank you very much, everyone, for being part of the class. And for those of us who are following us online, many more people are coming, many more discussions also coming. So do well to subscribe, follow, and let's learn Power BI together. Thank you very much, everyone, and on to the next. Bye bye for now.